Hello everyone, as promised, here's my video on the French presidential election, albeit later than I would have liked to have gotten it out. I'm mainly going to talk about the two competing candidates on the left side of things, this being Benoit Hamon and Jean-Luc Melenchon. For those who are hoping I was going to be talking about Marine Le Pen, I'm sorry, but there's not much to say that hasn't already been said by everyone else. She's a racist, she's a xenophobe, and she's a dangerous nationalist who needs to be kept out of the presidency. That's what everyone has said, and that's really all there is to say about her. So I'm mainly going to be talking about the left candidates. For a little background, Benoit Hamon is the candidate of the Parti Socialiste, the Socialist Party, which is the main centre-left party in France. They're the Social Democrats. This also happens to be the current party that is in power, the party of President Hollande. However, unlike Hollande, Hamon comes from the hard left of the PS, and he won a stunning victory over the former Prime Minister Manuel Valls in the primary, and Valls comes from the same faction of Hollande, that being the third way faction. Hamon recently also won the support of the French Green Party, the EELV, and his campaign is primarily focused on establishing a basic income, that being his key proposal that many believe won him the primary, also taxing robots, reforming the French Constitution into a sixth republic, and legalizing marijuana. He is a member of the National Assembly, which is the lower house of the French legislature, and he previously served as Hollande's Minister of Education before he resigned in protest over Hollande's austerity policies. Melenchon, meanwhile, is the candidate for La France Insoumise. I probably butchered that, so if you're French, don't get mad at me. A political movement that he founded last year. He is the founder and former leader of the Parti de Gauche, the left party, and was a candidate in 2012 for the Front de Gauche, which is a coalition including the Parti de Gauche, the French Communist Party, and several other hard-left parties. And he has received the support of many of these same parties, again this time, along with numerous members of the PS and the EELV, and his main goal is to establish a sixth republic, this going through drafting a new constitution by a constituent assembly, and he also wants to institute more redistributive programs in order to better redistribute the wealth in France. He wants to leave certain EU treaties which impose austerity and end the use of fossil fuels. Now, having looked at the platforms of both candidates, I have concluded that Melenchon is the better candidate. While Hamon's proposal for a basic income is interesting, I probably align more with him on the EU. His plan for a sixth republic is lacking. Melenchon's is much more thought out, and has had years to come into formation, as he's been advocating this for many decades. And he recently released a whole book outlining the whole plan. And it would include things like massively restricting the power of the president, which the French president has a lot of power right now, and moving towards a more parliamentary system, having the constituent or the National Assembly be elected by proportional representation with constituencies rather than the current program of two-round first-past-the-post constituencies. And his plan would also give room for consideration on what would happen to the Senate. Hamon's plan is not that great. His would be drafted by the National Assembly, that being the parliament, and they probably wouldn't do very much. And his plan only calls for having about a third of the members proportionally elected, only slight restrictions to the powers of the presidency, and an odd proposal which would allow French citizens to halt the implementation of any law by petition. And I'm all for certain levels of direct democracy, but that's a really dangerous thing. Especially with the rise of the far right in France, and I don't think that should be something in the French Constitution. In addition, Melenchon is also better on foreign policy. His stance, he wants to get France out of NATO, which is something I would like to see happen. Hamon thinks France has a good position in NATO right now. The one problem I do have with Melenchon is that he wants to pull France out of the EU if they don't agree to let France get out of certain treaties which impose austerity on them, and I think he's playing with fire on that one. Although I think that Germany will have no choice but to let France do that, because if France pulls out, then the EU will fall apart as a whole. France is the number 2 country in the EU after Germany, and so if France leaves, the whole thing will collapse. This is just my 2 cents on the issue. I don't want anyone to think that this is the conclusive answer. I'm sure there are many who disagree with me, and think Hamon is the better candidate. However, after Hamon's lackluster debate performance, I really don't see how anyone can still support him at this rate. So, if you are someone who is French listening to this, I highly encourage you to vote for Melenchon, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Please be sure to subscribe and like and share this video. If you have any suggestions for another video, please let me know. Thank you and solidarity.